Hello, and welcome to the Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. My name is Steve Van Eiderstein. Thank y'all for joining me again this evening as we go through and do today's daily reading from James Allen's Daily Meditations. This will be fresh to you and fresh to me, meaning you will get my genuine responses, reactions, observations, what I relate to about the reading, as this will be my first time hearing it or reading it right here on this podcast with y'all. It's been a great month of December so far. A lot of really good stuff we've been talking about. We were talking about suffering yesterday, which is always a hard topic because the existence of suffering really has a bad rap. Maybe people try to avoid suffering and therefore causing themselves more a lot of times. And if you look at suffering as a pathway to peace, as a flag for lessons to be learned, you get some value out of suffering. It makes it not such a scary thing. So I am looking forward to seeing what today's reading is about, see what it follows up with. It is always something it's always encouraging. So just so you know, if you guys can go to the December 21st, and check out the poll that's there. We're looking for a little bit of feedback for what you guys are feeling for the rest of for the future of this podcast. I've got an idea for myself, but I'd love to get some feedback from you. The first one's a daily reader, possibly Emmett Fox or Ralph Waldo Emerson. Second option is a breakdown of the book As a Man Thinketh, which is James Allen's most famous writing. And then the last option is morning and evening meditation. So I do 2 short little episodes a day just to kind of bookend your day. And that is also James Allen's writings too, put together again by Lily Allen. So let us know which one of those 3 sounds best to you. I'd appreciate it. And again, that was a poll attached to the December 21st meditation. So here we go. Let's get into December 24th. So yeah, this is December 24th reading of James Allen's Daily Meditations. Every resource is already within you, with you, and within you. Just as the strong doing of small tasks leads to greater strength, so the doing of those tasks weakly leads to greater weakness. What a man is in his fractional duties, that he is in the aggregate of his character. Weakness is as great a source of suffering as sin, and there can be no blessedness until some measure of strength of character is evolved. The weak man becomes strong by attaching value to little things and doing them accordingly. The strong man becomes weak by falling into looseness and neglect concerning small things, thereby forfeiting his simple wisdom and squandering his energy. There is no way to strength and wisdom but by acting strongly and wisely in the present moment. Great reading. Lovely reading. It's got a couple of things that I want to touch on just right now. One is the mindfulness aspect of this. That's kind of the overarching theme. But the second really is your character shows in all that you do, large and small. Remember that. Take as much care or more care even for the small things, because the small things become the conglomerate of the large. The large is only ever made up of small, independent little decisions that need to all be done correctly and right to make the whole, the larger picture done correctly and right. But the mindfulness portion, be that last line, there's no way to strengthen wisdom but by acting strongly and wisely in the present moment, right here. There's this big mindfulness movement that's been going on for a couple of years now, or well, more than a couple of years, I think. And it seems to be such a novel concept, but this might not use that word. The word might have not been around at the time, or he might not have known about it, but he's talking about being present in the moment. That's exactly the definition of what mindful is. And this is a practice of mindfulness, really. Doing your duty with strength and effectiveness. So let's go through this again. Every resource is already with you and within you. You like that. It's a empowering statement, really, at the end of the day, isn't it? It's a statement saying the only thing really standing in the way is you. Will you use your resources effectively or will you not? Will you be selfish and self centered? Will you neglect these things or not? Everything you need is with you and within you. Accept that as truth and your life will change. Kind of incredible. Just as the strong doing of small tasks leads to greater strength, so the doing of those tasks weakly leads to greater weakness. So, this is a concept that I talk about. I have talked about pretty often anyway. With every decision you make, you are gaining strength or succumbing to weakness. There's only ever those two paths. There's no middle ground. There's no neutral. There's no good enough. Either you are doing everything effectively and to the best of your ability, thoroughly, and showing the strength of your character through the decision, or you're giving into selfishness and self-centeredness and just half-assing something, just neglecting something, doing it well enough to get by, right? So you're taking a step towards selfishness and self-centeredness and self-serving, or you're taking a step towards being of service to your job or to another person or your employer or whatever it might be, being of service and selfless and growing into greater strength of character. There's two directions with every decision, and you get to choose which way you're going to go. That's the crazy thing. And we choose the path of weakness so often. We just don't even know it. What a man is in his fractional duties that he is in the aggregate of his character. So all the small things that you do you do them well? Do you take care of things? Do you maintain your space? Do you take care of your health? Do you sh- show up and give the best of you? Because if you don't, if it's anything other than that, you're just being selfish. What a man is in his fractional duties, that he is an aggregate of his character, right? The small things show your true nature. Weakness is a great source of suffering as sin. Weakness is as great a source of suffering as sin. Hmm. And there can be no true blessedness until the measure of strength of character is evolved. So, being a weak willed person will cause you suffering because you'll give in to your sin every single time. That it's that desire to do better, that desire to be different, that desire to change, right? That's a very painful type of suffering, very specific type of suffering, I do believe. It really truly isn't easy to battle that. It is not easy to sit with that every single time. It'll chew you up and eat you alive. It's a level of suffering that many know and many try to avoid. But that second part of that sentence, though, there can be no true blessedness until some measure of strength of character is evolved. You can't really have freedom from that suffering at all until you begin to make better decisions, right? Like you start to have some principle and some virtue to live by. We have to begin to take different actions. Thinking always doesn't line up with the actions at first, and the intention doesn't always line up with the thinking, right? Like this is a process, but you have to be able to start changing your actions with self control first, and then you start to build strength of character. Blessedness is on the other side of that only, and that has been wholly true for my experience. It really has been. It's been the entire path of my sobriety. So the weak man becomes strong by attaching value to little things and by doing them accordingly. There's a lot of people out there that say the simple thing like make your bed, clean your room, organize your paperwork, pay your bills, things like that, right? Like general daily living tasks. Do those well. Straighten yourself out, right? These little things will begin to add up, and then you'll begin to accomplish more and more and more every single day. It's actually incredible how these little wins and these little habits and these little principles start to stack upon each other, and you get some forward momentum in your life by simply making your bed and cleaning your room. I believe that. That's what I had to do. I had to start with my immediate self. And then I was able to start getting more and more strength and being able to bring more and more into this world and to be a part of more and more. But it starts with these little things. That's where strength of character evolves from. The strong man becomes weak by falling into looseness and neglect concerning small things, thereby forfeiting his simple wisdom and squandering his energy. There we go. You want to know how people fall, how strong men become weak? They quit paying attention to the small things. They quit. They let all those things go. They focus on primarily the large parts of life. They focus on the things that people are going to notice. And then that undermines their entire strength of character that they had built. They let it go by neglect. I've seen it happen. I've seen people get into the routine of things and let little things go. And before you know it, they just feel like a hollow person again. It's a very sad thing to watch. On this last line, we talked about it already, but there is no way to strengthen wisdom but by acting strongly and wisely in the present moment. And the cool thing about that line is you can start doing this right now. Not tomorrow morning, not next week, not after you go indulge yourself in that next whatever. You can do this now. You can hear this podcast and literally just stop. Stop that behavior you don't want to do anymore. Change that thing. Be present with yourself. Do something different. pretty incredible what being present in a moment and the willingness to sacrifice your old habits would do. You can completely change your life. You can begin to change your life in this immediate moment right now. You just have to be willing to. Fortunately, that willingness is actually quite hard to come by for some. So, all right. Well, there we go. That is it for December 24th. And also, I didn't say this at the beginning. Merry Christmas Eve to those who celebrate. I know I don't usually mention holidays or anything like that, but it's a big one for many in the world, including myself. So I am a little biased. But thank y'all for joining me tonight. I will look forward till tomorrow's. I hope to have you all back again, and we'll see how this year finishes out. And again, don't forget to go take a vote on the December 21st poll. So thank y'all for joining me again. Until next time, thanks.